Hey guys, I'm so excited to be back with the Theater of Football. My name is Jeremy Forbes. I'm going to be hosting our talk today, and then I have a great and amazing friend who is now a family member of mine, and we want to welcome our first guest onto the channel by the name of Brando. Brando, say a hello from the Cayman Islands. Don't get people too worked up that they not be able to be in such an amazing place like you, but hello,
Yeah,
hello, hello.
thanks for having me, guys. Very appreciative to be on the channel. Just looking to speak about the Premier League. It's back. It's live. We have some sports, some real sports to watch and enjoy. You know, it's
Oh, it's
allowed
been
me
a
to sleep at night now.
Oh yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air here too. I'm actually going to be quite annoyed that when the new season starts, we're not going to have games as often as what we're having them now.
Well, you see, for you that's a bane. But for me, I prefer that because a lot of the games I can't see because I'm having to sneak out of work.
Oh,
If I
oh yeah,
could,
no, no.
yeah, no, just so you know.
The guilty pleasure of being an entrepreneur. What can I say? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm not going to rub
yeah.
that in too much either. But I also have my a great friend and colleague, Mike Hodum. We're glad that we decided to do this channel together. So welcome, Mike.
Yep, I'm excited to be here again and listen to what Brando has to say about the Premier League and his favorite team, Chelsea.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I would love, because I think it's one of the things we did on our first video. We talked about how we got into the love of the Premier League and specifically our club. So, Brando, how comfortable do you feel about letting us know kind of how you got into it as well, with
Yeah,
you being
I
from
don't
Cayman Islands and everything?
I don't mind sharing the story. I just whether you all have a time, it could be a very long one. But
Okay,
just to
well,
give you a brief
give us
rundown,
cliff notes.
Cliff Notes. Okay, so as a kid, I've been playing football from like day one.
uh,
Here in the Cayman Islands, it's kind of like one of our pastimes.
yeah.
You play a lot of sports, play a lot of different sports. Football
Hmm.
was one of those that I was drawn to, and so I played that from I think it was like from under 11s going straight up to like under 16s,
Okay,
up
that's
until
cool.
up until high school. And
Did you
one of
play
the
with?
earlier teams,
Sorry, did you play
I
with
played.
any clubs or just with your
Yeah, yeah,
school
no, no,
teams?
no, no, no. So well, here in Cayman is the club thing is more a recent thing. But
Okay.
back in my day, it was more the clubs were linked to schools. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
the one of the early ones I played for was the True for Youth team,
Oh yeah,
which
they
is
did have a good program.
yeah. We had a really good program back in the day, and then when I left there and I switched to prep, then I started playing for South Sound, and
Okay.
that's how I got the connection to Chelsea, because
Okay.
the manager at the coach at the time was a big Chelsea fan,
Hmm.
so that was my introduction there. That was like around grade 6, you
Okay.
know, and then him being my coach, then I got interested in the team, which those were back in the early days when Chelsea wasn't really much to go by.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Our recent success has been more within the last two generations, from
Hmm.
around when Mourinho came and
Yeah.
when Abramovich brought Mourinho in.
Yeah.
We've had success before, but it was few and far between.
Yeah.
Like we had some early success back in the heyday of the club. Back in the early days. Like if you look in history, we were one of the first clubs to get opportunities to play in Europe, but we didn't go.
Oh wow.
For
I actually didn't know that.
for
That's
political
cool.
reasons and so forth, we
Yeah.
didn't make it. We didn't
Yeah.
go, and that probably in hindsight not a very wise decision now.
Uh huh.
But it was back in, I think it was, if I can't get the dates specific right now.
I think it was
Maybe I should
right
have looked
after
that
World
up.
War II, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was right after World War II, I believe it was.
Because Matt Busby pushed back on the government and the FA on that
Yeah, yeah,
to get when United started doing well to get us into the competition. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
Cool.
unfortunate.
and then so since then I've always been a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just very fortunate that their successes has come at a time where from around the time I've been a fan. Well, yeah, it's I've I've grown up seeing a successful Chelsea side, and now
Okay. No, no, I get it.
I think Chelsea fans of the last 2 decades have been spoiled in that sense a little bit, because the amount of success we've had within the last 15 years. I mean, was it? I think we've averaged, like, in the last 15, 20 years, like at least 12 trophies or something like that, which is very unprecedented for the club before 2004. You know, we've gotten used to winning, and so this season was going to be very unique, and from the perspective that we as fans, because of the scope of the team, that there was no transfers coming in, that we'd be relying on youth, that we have a very untested manager, club legend, but still a very untested manager, who's only had one previous experience at a minor club or a lower league club in the championship, Derby, which Derby in and of itself is a particularly well-known club, large club, but he was managing in the championship and managing in the Premier League. It's two different beasts.
Yeah. I agree with you. No, and to be honest, like, I think a lot of clubs, a lot of the popular clubs there in the UK have all gone through the cycle. It's a recent cycle where you're either rediscovering your form and rediscovering the way that you want to play after having to cycle out old legs and dead wood, and finally getting back to a new youthful side.
Sorry, can you repeat that last bit again?
And now finally getting back to a new youthful side after having so much kind of old legs and dead wood from teams that you had, and they used to be amazing, but then where was, like you said, where was the proper kind of putting in of the youth in a time so that they also get prepared for that next stage, or even bringing in youthful players that are already talented instead of sticking with old ones that you're used to.
For us, it's a new philosophy, which obviously wasn't completely by our design. We've kind of looked into it a little bit, if we're honest, because without the transfer ban, I'm not sure we'd be seeing the fruits of this particular labor. The youth setup itself in the academy has always been they've been winning trophies for years now. That is not as prevalent to your regular Chelsea fans, but our youth teams have been winning the youth FA Cup and been doing pretty well at youth level in terms of Champions League and so forth. But unless you're a fan who delves down deep into that, you may not be aware of it. Which is why a lot of fans were really annoyed that we didn't have none of this talent coming through. What would happen is they'd go on loan for 2 or 3 years, and then we sell them and make a profit. So the club was using a lot of the academy players as a source of income.
Okay.
More of a money making machine than the potential of making it into the first team. But with the recent transfer ban, and then Lampard being forced and also being willing to allow youth into the setup, that's completely changed.
Mourinho was really against that. He liked experience.
Mourinho loves experience. He prefers the type of players he knows that can stick to his formula, who know how to react to a game, and there are benefits to that. Those are why his teams usually, because in the last couple of years we haven't been seeing that, which is very, very surprising. But because even right now at Tottenham, that does not seem like your typical Mourinho team. A typical Mourinho team can score 1 goal, score 2 goals, and then see the game out. He gets a lot of clean sheets. Structured defense. Not very entertaining going forward, but they get the job done, right? And when Mourinho is managing teams, you can overlook that when you're getting the end results. When you're not getting those end results and it's stale and boring football, then it's
no one wants that.
It's really hard to put up with those methods.
I think the sport has evolved though to a degree. You're finding youthful players are coming through. They have a lot of flash. They have a lot of flair. They want to be showing that. And then the thing is that when you have that on the other side, you can have all of the great plans set up of how you want to defend. But if it's one moment that their brilliance just takes you by surprise, then what are you going to do to get back into the game if you're not willing to also have players that are willing to make some moves that could lose the ball, but when those moments of brilliance, it's probability. You do it so many chances, one or two of them pay off. I think that's what we're seeing with Bruno Fernandes. He loses the ball a lot, but he's willing to try things, and then they come off, a few of them. And then once we capitalize on them, have people that can put the chances away, then you start to see where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll go down one goal like how we did today. But that doesn't faze us because we know we can score 2-3.
Yeah, but you see that works as well when you have a structured team where if you lose the ball, then there's a good chance that your defense will be able to pick it up, or the midfield will press and win the ball back, or you can trust your keepers. So if we have a bad moment because we're trying to pull something or do something creative, that it won't be detrimental. Now, if you see when you have a team something like Crystal Palace who has Wilfried Zaha, you can't necessarily take those kind of chances because if he has a moment where he tries something creative, he loses the ball, and then you're on the counterattack, and then you don't
have no support behind you.
You don't have those defenders that can turn and quick on the sprint to make up the ground and so forth. That's been a lot of Man U's game recently with the counterattacking, but I will give credit where credit is due. The creative game that we've seen come forth in the last two games have been very impressive. I hate to say, but it has been very, very impressive. The recent run has been very impressive as well. I'm actually hoping that somewhere along the lines, Solskjaer does something to mess it up again like he did before. But here I'm just hoping. No,
I could accept that. Just like I was hoping that West Ham would win that game. So
it's probably your bad juju that caused
I know
because I don't know what happened. Like, to be fair, that first goal they had should not have been called off.
Okay.
Well, that was my opinion, but if you go by the strict letter of the law in terms of the football rules, then it should be chopped off. And because
did you get to see that, Mike?
Around.
Yeah, if he's talking about the VAR decision, it took far too long for them to come to the conclusion, but I thought the decision was correct in terms of the law.
In terms of the law, the decision was correct, but in terms of
watching,
when I say as entertainment value and the way people perceive the game should be played. And that's the big issue we have right now is that people perceive that the game should be played in a certain manner, but the rules are written for the game to be played in this manner. And there's a conflict there because people are like, well, the football should be like this, but the rules are saying, well, if it's a handball, like for example, if we bring up the handball issue that was recently brought to our attention with Tottenham when they had their goal chopped off for a handball, I believe it was, Lucas Moura, where he was fouled, and while he was dropping to the ground you automatically, if you're falling, you're gonna brace yourself. So he put his hand on the ground to try and brace himself, and the ball touched his hand, and because of that, the goal was chopped off. Now, the letter of the law is that if any goal is scored from when it touched the hand of a opposing player, it gets chopped off. But when you look at the circumstances, you would think common sense would tell you that that goal should stand. So we have a conflict here where common sense tell us that on the basis of the play, what occurred, the circumstances, that goal should stand. But the letter of the law says, well, it touched his hand, so we have to chop the goal off. And
I got you.
That's where we're getting this big divide. We're like that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But the referees are like, well, we don't care whether it makes sense or not. That's what the rules say, and we have to follow the rules. So that what has to happen there is that we have to. My apologies. We're on beach, and someone had your dog on my back. That's who's barking in the background. So what we have to rely on is for the body to make changes to the law to facilitate the game being played in the manner that people think it should be. But I don't think that's going to happen if I'm honest.
It took us. I think it took us so long to finally reach a point where we were willing to accept VAR that now, because of pride, and I could be wrong about this, but I think they're going to try to hold on to VAR for a little bit longer than saying, you know what, this isn't actually working as we expected it to. But now through their pride, they're going to be like, no, we just can't. We can't change it back.
Well, just to interject there real quickly. Now, I don't mind VAR. I like VAR because there's instances where the VAR picks up on stuff that you know, like when someone jumps on the floor that you may not see when that's slowed down, you know, and it'll pick up on moments where a team may get an unfair advantage and makes that correction. The issue I have with VAR is that apparently the individuals that they have who are administrating VAR right now don't seem to understand what they should be doing. Like, you know,
how they should be watching it. Yeah.
Like, for example, and was it you or when Sheffield United scored? It wasn't you. It was when Sheffield United scored that goal, and we're all watching on TV, where the keeper's inside the net is holding him up. He has his ball in his hand. He's behind the line.
We can clearly see it.
The referee's like, no goal. His watch didn't tell him it was a goal. We was like, yeah, but everyone could see
everybody else
in the goal. Like it's common sense. Like
we can do VAR.
Like we can all see he's in the goal, and nothing happened. VAR didn't interject. The referee's like, oh, my watch didn't tell me that it was a goal. So you sit there as a fan, as someone who's in love with sport, and being like, so who is refereeing the game? Is it technology? Is the ref doing anything? Is he just listening to the watch on his wrist? Is that what's going on? Because common sense would say he's in the net. You know, the net is what kept him on his feet. He's way behind it. You could see the ball in his hands. How was that not a goal?
And you're wondering. I almost think if you're wondering how many quick seconds do we get replays and we're able to see the thing that happened right there and know what it was. But VAR people take so long and can't see what it is or not know. Watch the replay in the stadium. You'll see it. Go from that.
That's another big argument because, you know, we get the advantage, especially being not being there in the pitch, but we get the advantage of the replays. But we know VAR has more sophisticated cameras and they have all these slow motion captures. Yet it takes them 4 to 5 minutes to make a decision, and the audience would have made up their mind in the first 2 seconds from seeing one replay. It's like, really, guys? It's taking you 5 minutes to come to that decision, especially when they come to the wrong decision. You're like, it took you 5 minutes to come to that decision. Yeah, we have so much faith in you right now in the system.
Yeah. Well, hey, actually, something interesting that you said in regards to United and how we're in essence showing teams that we have come up with some new exciting kind of attacking force. Teams are starting to respect that a little bit more. Actually, in regards to Chelsea, I feel that that next season you guys might have one of the most kind of potent attacking and actually interesting attacking options going forward. Do you feel that is going? You think that's going to help you guys be more relevant than what you have been this season? Or are you concerned that, say, your lack of reinforcements in other areas of the park will still cause you to be having a little bit of an issue?
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out whether I should address this from the back going forward. So that's the disadvantages to the advantages, or from the top down.
It's however a Chelsea fan would do it.
Well, if I was managing a team, you know, I would want to build a team from the back forward, because you know you can have an amazing attack, but if your goalkeeper can't save a shot from a 2-year-old, it doesn't matter. And you know there have been instances this year when we look at our keeper, and like, I love Kepa, but there's certain goals that have been scored on us that you just can't wrap your mind around it. You're just like, how did that score? Like, what was going to your head? Like in the West Ham game, there's, I'm not sure if you've seen the replay, where he goes to try and attack the ball, but he runs into the back of someone of one of his teammates, and then someone on the opposing team, and then he flails backwards, and then the ball goes past him. You know, that doesn't really instill any confidence whatsoever. It's like, so
do you think he's gonna
try
get a
to
new
go for it.
goalkeeper?
You didn't even get in the air. You ran into someone, and then you're stumbling backwards. The ball is going in the net, and then we had someone on the line, and he flailed all about and missed the ball as it's bouncing past him. I mean, that first goal, not the first goal. It would have really been the second one because the first one got chopped off. But that second one that scored after we scored, I believe it was a penalty that Pulisic got us.
Yeah.
When you look at that, and you're just like, really, guys? It's the same guy. Scored in the exact same manner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, VAR gave us a lifeline and chopped the first one off. How did we allow this to happen a second time? Again. The exact same guy. It's like we just hit the rewind button and just went right back and then pressed play and just did the whole thing all over again. And you sit there and you wonder, like, it feels like our defenders are not learning from their mistakes. It's like
that makes sense.
They come to each game and it's just like, that was last week. Today's today. It's like, no. See, ordinarily in regular life, we would accept that, but not when you throw away a game, which would put so much space between us and the chasing pack. Like right now, the most entertaining thing in the Premier League right now is the fight for third and fourth. You know, the last two Champions League spots.
For real.
And it might get even more interesting if next week,
if City,
if the footballing gods come into play and say, yes, City, you're banned for at least a year, and then
we don't think it's going to happen though.
Well, I honestly don't know how that's going to play out. Like I see reasons why the Court of Arbitration could say yes, you're in breach, and I see reasons why they could they can accept the arguments to say no, they weren't in breach. And I'm not sure how the Court of Arbitration is going to play that one, because any stance they take is going to set a precedence. And I
think that's what you were saying, Mike, right?
That's why I think the 1 year will hold up, is because I think they gave them the 2 year, which seemed harsh to me, because they knew that they would appeal, and then it'll get knocked down to one year. So it looks like City kind of won, and then UEFA still has their financial fair play rules kind of justified. And so I don't want to say everybody wins, because City still doesn't win, but
we don't care about that. You know?
Yeah, we don't care about that at all.
But that's what I thought would happen.
But see, the problem, because even if they award just a 1 year, I don't think City's going to accept that. I personally think they're going to throw their lawyers at it, and they're going to fight that tooth and nail, even if it's a 1 year ban. Like as far as I'm concerned, it could be a 6 year ban.
How many appeals do they have?
A 6 month ban. I believe they do have a secondary appeal after the current one, depending on the decision. And from what I've read and from what I've heard, they're not going to accept even a 1 year ban. I don't think they would accept a 6 month ban as things stand, because it would have huge repercussions on their finances, their bottom line, and then trying to renegotiate contracts with players, because you have Asian players like Aguero, who if there's no Champions League football next year, if they don't win it this year, then it's basically over for him. So he can't afford to stay. They've had Raheem Sterling come on and say, well, if there's no Champions League football, he may have to consider his future. And Kevin De Bruyne said the same thing as well. So
he looks good there, but he would work anywhere else.
No, well. To be fair now, Jeremy, he was a pretty decent player when he was at Liverpool. His finishing has been next level since he's worked with Pep. Like his finishing has just been amazing since he's gone to Man City, because that was always an element of his game that he struggled with at Liverpool. Which
Do you see the same thing when he plays for England though?
Yes, when he plays for England, he's really good. But if you watch some of their games, there were opportunities that he could have put away, and that as a fan watching, and that a lot of us feel he should have put away, that he didn't. But he has made a lot of strides going forward in terms of his finishing, and if he brings his current form to play when they do the Euros, then he should be an amazing player for England.
Okay, we'll have to see what happens. So you said you think you guys still have defensive woes.
Anyone?
Do you think there's going to be any? Do you think there's going to be any money there to deal with that, or do you think they're just going to try to push along initially from the start of the season with their attacking options? Not really.
Well, sorry, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I just got interrupted there for a second. Can you repeat that question again?
I was saying, do you think they're going to have any funds and any ability to fix their defensive woes that you think that they have? Or do you think it's going to come down to where, they've already spent out enough money, they're just going to have to hope that the attacking prowess that they have will overcome that?
Just to clarify, are we referring to City now or Chelsea?
No,
we both
Chelsea.
have defensive woes at the moment.
Yeah, both y'all have defensive woes. Chelsea and City do.
Yeah.
But we both agree that we don't care if City gets any worse.
Yeah, that's true. But
so it's just Chelsea.
With the way they dismantled Liverpool yesterday, you would forget that the defensive issues they have. But
I think Liverpool's turned off. They could care less what happens in the rest of the season. They've already won. What do they have to play for? No one can knock them out of Champions League.
See, I personally believe that they may have been partying a little bit too hard, and they may have taken the match for granted because they had already won. But at the same time, that a 4-0 is really smartening. That's embarrassing,
Yeah.
Like that 4-0 that brings back the nightmare of Chelsea's first game of the season, which I still get cold sweats about because of that game. That was
like
a nightmare.
Mike remembers horrific things that happen with Man United players or games.
And like, no offense to United, like when I was watching the match with Paul, who you're familiar with, and as we're sitting there watching the match,
see if he'll come on to the channel sometime.
Yeah, he'd be a good person to have on. But as I'm sitting there watching the game with him, and I'm cheering for Chelsea because we're passing the ball, we look fluid. There's 1-2 passing, we're going through the lines, which it looked beautiful, but there was no production. So we make it to the final third, and then it's like their brains were shut off, and then they just kick it away, and then they was just doing that the entire game, and then but then we left ourselves open in the back, and then Solskjaer, where I will give him credit, is he knows how to play a counter, how to build or how to formulate a counter-attacking team. So that's one of Man U's strong suits at the moment. The whole creative side of when they have possession, that's where they kept falling apart under Solskjaer. They couldn't break down teams that would sit down deep and defend. That looks like that might be changing over the last couple of games. But previously, if where Man U excelled previously with Solskjaer was when teams took them on, and left space in the back, and then they can break on you. And because they do a quick and very fluent breaking game. So then we got broke on, and then they scored, and then they did the same thing 3 other times in the game. And you was just like, this is the first game of the season. Like, I had huge expectations. Now, obviously, I'm not a madman. I wasn't expecting us to win the league or come second. I just wanted us to be competitive. So when you're watching that first game, and we're just getting ripped apart like a Sunday league team. We're just like, oh shit, this is going to be a terrible season. My apologies for the language there. Like, and then we saw how the team rightened themselves, and then we got a couple wins under our belt, and then we're like, okay, there's some hope here, and then we keep seeing the same frailty every so often. Like we'll put a run of 3 or 4 games together, and then it's like they completely forget how to defend. Because I'm not sure if you caught the game when we beat Man City, and that was an excellent example of you have your defense, you had your midfield backbone, and you had the attacking prowess, and the first goal was also because of Man U's issues in defense, but the way Pulisic broke, and then the way he carried the ball, that's counter-attacking one-on-one. It was amazing to see him do it by himself, though.
I think he's blossoming into a great player for you guys. Yeah, I was initially very disappointed that we didn't get him, but we didn't really also need him.
Yeah, but you're gonna get Sancho, so you'll be fine.
That's still here to be said.
Well, wasn't there a report today talking about how he's agreed, in principle, a contract with Man U?
these tabloids and newspapers always want to get some kind of story going. So I don't know
but I believe it was first reported by one of those reputable agents. But remember, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, well, the in these stories, the players always agree contracts, but then the sticking point, especially with Ed Woodward, is when it comes down to the fee that needs to be paid for the player. So Sancho can agree a contract, that's great, but we're still going to have this is still going to drag on for months and months, probably trying to agree a fee for him.
Well, it's going to drag on for months and months because no one wants to pay $100 million if they can afford. Like, well, one of the reasons we got what's his name? I can't believe his name is just the striker from our Leipzig.
Werner.
And I can't believe I completely blanked on his name there. But one of the reasons we were to get him is yeah, you know, that's exactly what it is.
The sun melts your mind.
Yeah, you know, like you know, talking about complaining about good weather.
Oh, but, Jesus, Lord help.
So one of the reasons we got him is because we were just willing to act and pay. I don't think we paid the exact clause, but we paid close enough to it that they were willing to accept, and because we're willing to pay the funds and not dilly-dally around and try and negotiate, you know, we were able to just snap him up real quick after Liverpool, because Liverpool was still negotiating with him. They weren't prepared to pay the fee for the break clause, but they were still negotiating. And because they were still negotiating, when Chelsea came in and then said, we'll pay the fee, then there was nothing else that they could do. All they could do at that point was just distance themselves from the player and the transfer, you know, because otherwise it looks very bad.
Yeah.
Well, the release clause, as I understand, for Werner was less than half of what Dortmund want for Sancho. So
exactly.
And Werner, to me, is a very comparable player to Sancho in terms of quality. So I would have I wish United honestly would have gone in, having watched Werner play a lot in the Bundesliga when they came back from the break. I wish United would have gone in and met that clause, because he could have been the definite asset playing off the right or through the middle. And we need to fill that hole. We might not need to fill that hole if Mason keeps playing well, but that seems to be one of our places we need improvement on. So I think you guys did an excellent job of swooping in and getting that done.
Yeah, and then we have Ziyech coming from Ajax as well, which that one I thought that was an excellent deal. Like, that was wrapped up long before COVID even hit us. And for the fee as well, like, I was always surprised that no one picked him up last summer when the light left, you know, because he's an excellent player. We played him in the Champions League, and he all but almost destroyed us in the first match. And I'm just surprised that no one plucked him up sooner. For some reason, with some of these teams, you feel that like they're chasing star status. They're chasing star status a lot more than the actual potential with some of these players.
Their marketing team gets involved and be like, oh, we need some extra marketing publicity.
You know,
we need this player, not a good player. Yeah. Well, Mike, I know we're getting close to our time. Mike, do you have any other questions for him before we wrap up?
No, it's a good discussion. I really appreciate Brando, you taking your some time from your staycation.
Busy schedule.
Caymans, busy schedule, and joining us. Yeah.
Of relaxing. I hate you so much, but still love you.
You know, we're just, you know, enjoying the good weather. Like, we've only had our restrictions lessened within the last week and a half or so. So, you know, it's good to get out of the house, you know, see people and not feel like a hobo. Not hobo. What's the phrase I'm looking for right now? That's just escaping me. That's been happening a lot today. I think I've been in the sun too long, you know.
Yeah. No. Well, we're definitely glad that you were able to come on. I think it went really well. We would love to definitely have you on again some other time. If there's any discussions that you would like to bring to the theater of football, do reach out to us privately and let us know. And then maybe we can get you on for those.
Will do. And just to touch base on that question, because I realized I skirted around the whole thing and I didn't actually get to it. In terms of our defense, I know there's rumors that we're looking for a left back. We're definitely looking for a left back because we definitely need one. Our two current options are Marcus Alonso and the other guy whose name I can't remember because at this point it doesn't really matter.
Emerson.
Emerson, that's it. Well, and don't get me wrong, I think Emerson is a good player, but he, for some reason, is just like he's just not working with the team. And as a professional player, you'll have times when you go to teams and it just doesn't work out. You just need to make the move.
Dean Maria.
I think, yeah, exactly.
I think he's way better suited for Saint-Germain. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's best it's because he's still quite young. It's best for him in his career that he probably makes a move on. Marcus Alonso he's not a fullback. He's a wing back. Now he's great going forward, but the defensive frailties seem to come back and bite us in the ass from time to time. Like he's had a few good games, like the one against City, but then if you watch the West Ham game and that last goal, and you're wondering what as the West Ham player is sprinting down our left side of the pitch, their right side, and he's nowhere to be seen. You're just like, what the? Like, what was it? Coffee break time? Was he building a house and end up opposing half? What exactly was going on? Because he just had a free running on goal, and we saw that play developing when Antonio held the ball up.
Yeah.
You as a professional player,
he did really
saw
good
that
with that
happening.
I mean,
but at the same
sometimes
time,
that's not really Antonio's strength, but yeah.
No. That is Antonio's strength, and we played right to that. Like he hit the ball on, he took the ball on his chest. He had time to push it 30 yards for like a couple yards for, and then played the ball on. All this time, Marcus,
where's Alonso?
He hadn't even started running back. You just lost the ball. As a professional player, these are basics. You're supposed to be going back to your position. He just stood up there like, oh, is the game still on? He hasn't blown the whistle yet. Like, I thought the game was over. Like, my bad, guys. Like, next time.
Oh boy, I'm sorry we had to laugh at your expense, but y'all keep playing games like y'all did today. Y'all still might save yourself and be Leicester going down.
If we still continue playing games like this today, then we have a good chance. But I personally think this is going to come down to the last day of the game
against Wolves.
It's going to be Wolves against us, and then it's going to be you against Leicester. And I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the deciding factor as to where we all stand when the league is finished. There's nothing else to root for at the moment. Liverpool already has a title. To everyone's bane. Because I don't know if you know any Liverpool fans, but they were insufferable before.
I'm not speaking to them. I'm sorry.
They were insufferable before, and now that they've actually won a Premier League title, I'm just gonna stay away from all Liverpool fans for a good while. Well, actually, I can just probably bring up Man City's little chastening slap of 4 the other day. Maybe that I'll bring that into the conversation.
Yeah, that should help. That will rub some salt. Yeah. But thank you so very much. Or what?
Or when we knocked them out the league, that should help as well. Out of the FA Cup.
Yeah. Remember those two things. Yeah. But until next time, the highlights. Until next time, I think that's it for us. The curtains are closing on the theater of football. But we were definitely
thanks for having
me. So blessed to have you on, Brando.
Yeah, thanks, Brando.
It was really exciting for us and for you to be our first guest in on our channel. We're looking to do more of that because I think this will be a nice thing for us to do. Bring other clubs, supporters in, because even though we are, Manchester United fans, what's
Wait, no, you two are Manchester United fans.
Yeah.
This is a Chelsea fan here.
I
don't have it up in the back because I'm on vacation. But next time, if I'm ever on here again,
you'll have the Chelsea thing.
Chelsea, I'll do a little advertising for try and grow our fan base as well.
Yeah, you can
maybe
grow your
convert
fan
one
base.
or two of your fans.
No.
if they want to come
That's
to
crossing the line.
Team,
Yeah, but what is a sport without good banter? Like you said, we could care less to hear anything from Liverpool fans right now or Arsenal fans in general ever. But where is the sport without good banter?
Well, our Arsenal fans have Arsenal TV, and there's a lot of comedic value right there, so they don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, Brando, thank you so very much.
Thanks again.
We'll see when we can have you on again. Mike, over and out.